What's one cooking tip that is extremely helpful that nobody knows about? This isn't a secret or anything, but I think a lot of folks don't realize how important acid is in a lot of cooking. When you've seasoned something perfectly but it still tastes like it's missing something, it's usually acid. A bit of citrus juice or vinegar will take it to the next level. Couldn't agree more. When I cook I always try to use some kind of acidic ingredient, and failing that, a dash of lemon at the end works wonders. Really helped me with things like beans and lentils that can end up pretty bland. Clean while you cook. Got 5 minutes while something is simmering. Was a few items. Got 30 seconds. Throw all scraps in the trash. Then when you're done the final clean won't be as bad. I always fill my sink with soapy water before I start cooking, so then when I'm done with a plate, mixing bowl or utensil I can quickly wash it, or if I'm lazy leave it in the sink to soak. It's cut my cleaning time down to nothing and I never dread doing the dishes now. Time is an ingredient. You cannot replace it most of the time, pun not intended, with something else. Especially, you cannot replace it with heat. Going oh, I don't have much time, let's grill this at a higher temperature is a perfect way to waste whatever you wanted to eat. Also, read your recipes completely before you start. It's a bit embarrassing, but I had to change my menu planning more than once because I only read the ingredients list in preparation and then came to step 1 or 2. Marinate ingredient for 24 hours. That's not a pun. Now if you'd mention time we'd be in business. If you're searing a bunch of little things in a pan, like scallops, set them in the pan in a clock-like circular pattern. That way, you'll be able to easily keep track of where to start flipping, and then you can just move clockwise down the line. Seems obvious, but I was just haphazardly throwing pieces of meat or seafood in a pan prior to seeing this done on a cooking show. Also, use a larger pan than you think you need. Give each piece of food a little space. It allows the heat to properly circulate and juices to run off and cook away before mixing and essentially boiling the food when it should be searing. Otherwise your food will end up pale and flavorless. TLDR. Don't overcrowd food when cooking. Always use cold water to mix with flour or cornstarch to make your gravy. It won't get lumpy. My dad was a chef and he always stressed this. He hated lumpy gravy. Or better yet, if you're using flour, start with a roux and add your stock to the roux rather than adding a flour slurry to stock. People who don't know how to cook think cooking is extremely difficult and that you need to rigorously study cooking. Not true. Just follow a few simple recipes to learn the basics. After a couple of tries, you can wing a lot of your cooking. Always scrape the ingredients from the cutting board into a pot with the back of the knife. It will help the blade stay sharp longer. Or get a bench scraper to pick them up and transfer all at once. Courtesy of great grandma to mom. To get the smell of garlic off your hands, grab your stainless steel. Force it like it was your man. D. Yesterday I saw steel soap in my dollar store, like a soap puck lump of steel, and it said clearly product will not clean your hands and only use for intended purpose. I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the intended purpose was. Thank you for explaining. I haven't seen it on this thread yet, so might as well post it. The most important tip I can give to anyone is to set up all of your ingredients before you even turn the stove on. Also known as mise en place in the culinary world. Everything. Salts, spices, veggies, proteins. Everything should be on your counter and easy to reach. It's seriously probably the biggest thing keeping someone from becoming a meh cook into a good one. If you want to put chives into your omelette, you obviously don't want to start cutting them when your eggs are already on the pan. You'll overcook your omelette. PS. Wash your hands, you nasties. Also, you don't find out halfway through cooking that you're missing a key ingredient you thought you had. When melting chocolate, chocolate holds its shape after melting point, so stir it frequently. If it has lost its initial shape but feels thick to stir, it's burnt. If it is lightly burnt, it can be saved by a bit of olive oil. Add a teaspoon at a time, stir well, and your chocolate will be magically good again. Use a double boiling method. Take a smaller pot and fill with 2 cups of water. Place a stainless steel bowl on top of the smaller pot and place chocolate in there. The chocolate will melt and stay under 212 degrees, which will prevent burning. Get a good knife. One good knife is everything. Spend good bucks on it and learn how to keep it sharp. Any YouTube tutorial. And never ever lend it or forget it anywhere, Wilson. I'm imagining Wilson was your knife and you lost him at sea during a storm trying to make it back to civilization. Cooking is an art. Baking is a science. Play around with ingredients and amounts when cooking. Follow a recipe when baking. This is why I am not a very good baker, unless you like rock cakes that are literal rocks. Instead of just straight up sauteing shrimp for a dish, you can take high quality, raw uncooked shrimp. Take off the shells and tails and set them aside. Heat up a little oil in your pan. Saute the shells in the hot oil until they turn red and get little white speckles on them. Add 1 cl of a good white wine. Simmer for about 5 minutes. Strain and use a spoon to sort of press on the shells to get all the liquid out. Return the liquid to the pan, and then poach the shrimp in that liquid just until cooked. Flavor explosion. I've been cooking shrimp for 16 years and never even heard of this. I can't wait to try it. Thanks, friend. Wash your rice before cooking it. It will be fluffier. Don't put olive oil in your boiling water if it's for pasta. The sauce won't stick much on the pasta if you do. Olive oil is good for salad, but burned it can both taste nasty and be unhealthy. It has a burning point lower than other oils, therefore will burn more easily. To check if your oil is hot enough to fry, put the tip of a wooden spoon. If small bubbles form, the oil is hot enough. Don't throw away your vegetables waste while cooking. Put them in a bag and then in the freezer. Use it anytime you want to make some vegetable stock. This one is quite no but still great. When baking, don't forget to line your pan with butter than flour. I used to only do butter. My brownie never wanted to come out of the pan. Rip all the brownies. Frick up. Burn food. Over season. Have a pot boil over. Make flatbread on accident. Make soggy latkes. Spice that curry up to lava temps. Just learn from it. Don't be afraid to ruin a meal. Be willing to ruin a meal so it ensures you'll make a better one in the future. Nobody bakes a flawless souffle the first time. Pretty much everyone will forget to put eggs in brownies once or twice. I'm sure most people have put too much salt in their eggs, or cooked a steak to a brick. Don't let mistakes stop you from learning new things, and don't let the fear of fricking up a meal prevent you from trying new recipes. The worst frick ups are the ones you are least likely to repeat. A lot good suggestions here, so I'll take a different approach. Learn to sharpen your knives, not steel hone them. Sharpen. Honing does help them last longer, but every knife will dull and chip eventually. It's not expensive to keep them like new, or better. When making cookies, maybe sweets in general, if the recipe calls for both brown sugar and granulated sugar, always add more brown than white. It makes your baked goods softer. You could alternatively forego brown sugar altogether and just use molasses. Brown sugar is literally sugar and molasses, and no more chiseling old brown sugar. Here's one I only learned recently. If you are using a lot of garlic or using it where it won't get cooked much, cut each clove in half and remove the germ, the shoot, from the middle. This will reduce the bitterness of the garlic and give it a milder, smoother flavor. It's especially important for older garlic, like what you buy in most supermarkets. If you are a garlic fiend, look up a recipe for town. It's a bit of a beat to make but absolutely worth it. OMG, I love garlic and I've never heard of town. I can't wait to make it. Thanks. Cut sugar cookies again right when they come out of the oven and they will be the perfect shape. It's called hot cutting. Honestly, I find cutting them then popping them in the freezer for 5-10 minutes before putting them in the oven is way easier and they keep their shape very well. Uber Eats is fastest but has the fewest options. DoorDash has the most options but the highest delivery fees. Grubhub is a happy medium and they have great customer service. I'm lazy but paying $6 fees for delivery is just something I will never do. Look up the smoke points of the oils you cook with. You should toast garlic, it shouldn't be burned or else it will affect the dish. Agreed. Though I will add, deeply fried garlic, almost burnt, can lend a really lovely bitterness that complements certain dishes, but it's a really powerful flavor and needs to be used judiciously. When browning ground meat, only flip it twice. Flatten it out and cook it till it is half done. Flip over like a giant burger, then cook till done. To crumble it once it's cooked, and never again eat grey tasteless ground beef. Turn down your heat. That's why your food is burned and still raw. Except meat in cast iron. Get that baby ripping hot and don't freaking move the meat till it releases on its own. When you use garlic, best way is to just crush one with your knife and throw it in for the taste. If you cut it in slices and eat them, your breath will smell more like garlic, but the flavor won't be much better than with the crushed version. Also, if you cut onions, wash them with cold water or ideally put them in the fridge for 20-30 minutes beforehand. This way it won't make you cry when cutting. Last but not least, for omelets or pancakes, add a little bit of sparkling water to make more fluffy. Sparkling water is either a game changer or you are a liar. I want to believe. Taking a knife skills class took my cooking to the next level. Learning how to dice small quickly, for example. I didn't understand a basic concept till I could do this. Food cooks way faster with a small dice. Great cooking is about balancing flavors, acid and salt and sweet and umami. Don't forget the sweet, but don't overdo it. I use a little brown sugar or maple syrup in most of my savory dishes. It turns a basic dish into a bomb dish. Taste as you go. A bit of sweetness can help bring out the spiciness as well. Don't add the oil or butter before your pan is hot. Heat up your pan first, then add the oil and let that heat up. It will get ripply, then add whatever you're cooking. I've got a few that I think are good. The first is to cook only with ingredients you have like and prefer. If a recipe calls for peas, and you hate peas, then replace it with something you do like. For me it's edamame. If a recipe calls for rice vinegar and you only have white vinegar, use it, but Google the replacement ratio. Don't make the mistake of going out and buying specific ingredients for one specific dish because you end up wasting it. The other is that when you make savory dishes, if you salt it too much, add more spice, and vice versa. You can make tomatoes less sour in things like sauces and curries, not sandwiches or where it's not cooked, by adding sugar. But if you want to be healthier, chop up and puree carrots and add it to your tomatoes. Last is personal fav, but may not apply to everyone. A pressure cooker is an absolute game changer and I recommend you get one. Extra virgin olive oil is not for frying things. It has a very low smoke point and will break down for higher, but still not very high heat. You want regular olive oil, not extra virgin. There is also no regulatory agency to check the purity of olive oil. In independent studies, most extra virgin olive oil was adulterated with regular olive oil. If you've oversalted something, try lemon juice. Not 100% guaranteed, but has saved my life on a few key occasions. Cooking family meal for a shift of hungry restaurant staff. When cooking things like cold pizza or certain things, put a glass of water in the microwave with it. Also try using the % power option on your microwave, but increase the time can make a big difference. 130 m for cold pizza? Nah. 3 meters 50% power with a glass of water. Or put the pizza on a hot skillet. Add a few drops of water at the edge of the pan and put a lid on it. The crust will crisp, the dough will take on moisture, and the cheese will be gooey. It might actually take less than 3 minutes. Properly browning mushrooms takes fat, time and a lot of heat. I'm talking 20 minutes on high heat with the occasional stir and flip. If you don't like mushrooms, you have probably only eaten soggy chewy mushrooms that have been warmed up in their own juices for 5 minutes. You need to cook all those juices away. I baked mine in fat rendered from sausage meat. Once mushrooms are browned enough, you can use them for any dish. I like to add some finely chopped onion and garlic to the hot pan and add 2 tablespoons of flour. Mix and scrape the bottom of the pan, browning but not burning the flour. Deglaze pan with a peaty whiskey. Add 1-2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Add a cup of chicken or beef stock and bring back up to heat. After 5 minutes, bring heat down to a low simmer and add half a cup of heavy cream. Add juice from half a lemon. Stir in some fresh chives and parsley. Season to taste with lots of black pepper. Turn off heat. You can eat this with potatoes, rice or pasta. You can optionally add 75 grams of Parmesan cheese. Serve with some chives and parsley on top. The browned mushrooms deglaze with a peaty whiskey will make for such a rich taste that you'll forget that there isn't even meat in it, if you don't make it with sausage. When making a sauce for your pasta, you should add some of the water you used to boil the pasta into the sauce. This will help the sauce bind better to the pasta and make it taste better. Peeling a hard-boiled egg is easier if you do it under cold running water. Same for cutting an onion and your eyes won't tear up. How the heck am I supposed to cut an onion underwater? Bacon can be baked in the oven and it tastes a lot better and less greasy if you do. Also, you can pour real maple syrup over it and make it even more delicious. The real secret is to not preheat the oven. If you do, it will be too hot for the sugar in the syrup and it will char. I did this the first time, thinking it was a typo in the recipe. The whole kitchen filled with smoke as soon as I opened the oven and it set the smoke detector off. It woke my dad up, who thought the house was on fire. He beat the living crap out of me with a set of jumper cables when he found out what actually happened. Imposter, you're not, you're a Jerseman 10. Learn how to make your favorite foods. Get the basics down pat. Then experiment with different measurements, ingredients, spices. Be sure to stir and keep the heat at the appropriate level. Not cooking, but relates to it. Clean as you prep cook. My girlfriend doesn't, and the kitchen always looks a bombshell afterwards. I do, and all I need to do is wipe down the counter pan after we finish our meal. Use chopsticks to cook bacon. Makes flipping the bacon so much easier and gives you great control in moving the bacon around the pan. Or just tongs, which are even easier. Just make sure they're not metal if you're using a non-stick pan, or you'll frick it up. A trick I found for getting the perfect crispy salmon skin. Get the pan hot, add oil, then the salmon skin side down. Then turn the heat off until it stops sizzling. Gradually bring the heat back up until it is about 2/3 the way cooked through. Flip it over and cook it for 2 minutes, then let it rest for a few minutes. Doing this ensures the skin doesn't stick to the pan from it being too hot, and also prevents overcooking trying to get the skin crispy with a pan that isn't hot enough. One good chef's knife is the best thing anyone can own. Learning to sharpen your own knife is even better once you have it. An entry-level knife like a Japanese shun is a great starting point. As a professional chef, the #1 tip I always give is to have all your things in place before you even fire up. All your seasonings at hand, all your ingredients prepped. If you're following a recipe for the first time, read it thoroughly a couple of times. Success in the kitchen depends on good organization. You know those weird purple little onion-like bulbs that you never see anyone buy in the produce section? Those are shallots. They will make your pasta or spaghetti, or any other kind of sauteed sauce taste relentlessly good. Start them in a pan with a bit of butter, salt, and pepper. Then add the rest of whatever the sauce is. They are the secret ingredient. Start cooking salmon from LVL 58 when you are no longer able to burn it, or 55 if you wish to use the cooking range. This is a cheap way to 99, or you could shave a heap of time off by switching to tuna at 63. If you need to mince garlic, place 1 clove at a time under the flat part of a chef's knife and hit it with your fist. This was taught to me in my culinary class and it makes mincing the garlic so much easier. If you're boiling eggs, add 2 things to the water: salt to make the peeling easier and vinegar to eliminate the odor. These 2 tricks save you so much time and prevent you from being very unpopular with your co-workers. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.